Hello guys and welcome back after a slight delay to the start there, but welcome to welcome back to the channel, but welcome to part 1 of our new F1 2017 career mode. And today's first episode we're just going to sort of go over a few of the changes that we're seeing in the career mode and sort of run through where we are. Obviously you can see we are at Renault, so I think it's going to be a hard slog this year. So welcome to Renault Sport F1 team. We're delighted to have you on board and look forward to working closely with you over the upcoming seasons. You will start as a second driver alongside your teammate Nico Hülkenberg. We expect you to work together to help develop the car and the team as quickly as possible. Now let's get out there and win some points. Kind regards, team management. So we've gone for Hülkenberg as our teammate, given the team the best chance. I think Palmer is absolute waste of spacey time. The career mode, I'm going to run very similar-ish to how we done last year. So there's going to be, I'm not going to bother showing the free practice sessions, that's pointless. I've got one shot quali just because it helps speed things up. Not a lot else has changed from our previous career modes. We'll open the laptop up, we'll start looking at some of the changes. So you can see straight away this year there's some major developments. They've done some really good jobs with the career mode. So the principles are very much the same as last year. We've got our menu or our laptop here with the news feed down the side, our rivalry when it comes in the middle, and just a little bit of data on ourselves on the corner. Vehicle management, a great addition this year. Having to nurse the parts to the vehicle with the power units and with the gearbox. We can go through and have a look at our tyre allocation as well. Once we get in a little bit more, we'll be able to see the resource points and the car development, which is massively improved to last year, and then obviously the tutorials at the end. We'll dive into the free practice session. We'll show you the changes that we've had there. I do think this year they've really have nailed career mode, especially the R&D. I think last year it was a cool touch, it was new, but it was very limited. You know, there was sort of, what was it, 5 maybe elements of the vehicle that you could upgrade, and that was it. So it's a little bit different this year. You can really go through and develop what the car needs development on, but we'll get to that as soon as we can. So if we go into the session now, that's the computer on the car, it's the easiest way of saying it. And the practice programs, there are the return of obviously the track acclimatization, tyre management and the qualifying pace, exactly the same as last year. This year bringing in fuel saving and race strategy. What are our team objectives as well? So what I'm going to do is I have got an Australia set up. So I'll load that. At the moment that's the only setup that I have, which I did in the hards, which is my other career mode that I'm running, which I may stream to Twitch a little bit more. It's nice to see the changes to the to the practice sessions this year, and it's something that, especially further down the grid, is going to be a really important thing to try and hammer in and get the points. I think it would be nice, I mean, to a degree, I think slightly the problem they have this year with it, again, the same as last year, is every race, it is the same R&D objectives. So you are just going out doing exactly the same thing. It'd be nice with the 5 sort of free practice scenarios to maybe only have the 3 like we had last year, but ooh, really outbreaking into turn 1. But yeah, I'm having the R&D runs in the free practice session, but maybe not having them all, so they could just shake it up. So some races you might maybe focus a little bit more on qualifying the brakes on this Renault. And I mean, I am finding this year the handling is so much different to last year, but then the cars have changed a lot more. You know, it does just feel like there is so much more mechanical grip this year to last year. And having to nurse the components on the car, finding that it really is changing the way that you're having to race a little bit more, trying to sort of lift and coast a bit more, save putting the wear, trying to look after the engine, look after the gearbox. Where last year it was just a case of just going out and thrashing it every race. So I think the component lifespan this year was a much needed addition. You know, it plays such a huge part in Formula One nowadays that it needed to come in. The one thing that I still think career mode could do with is just a bit more of a tweak going into the races from the team on the car setup. You know, I mean, you don't turn up to a Grand Prix with just a neutral, you know, and the driver says, I'll put the wing at this degree. You know, it is a team sort of thing. And I mean, I don't expect the team to give me necessarily the best setup, but rather than just sort of 5-5 wings at every circuit when you turn up, it would be nice to maybe see a little bit of a tweak on that. The race run, or the race pace runs, I'm a big fan of. I think that's a really cool addition, and it does seem to adjust your strategy and your fuel load a little bit more and to sort of suit your driving style. Albeit that so far I've not seen really a race that hasn't been a one-stop race. The tyre life seems to be so much more than last year. So let's return to the garage quickly. We'll dive out on the race pace setting, or the race strategy setting, should I say. A few of the other additions this year, the pit limiter being there is kind of cool in a way. The manual pit exit I do like. I have found a couple of times though that the sort of pit stop watch sits a proper outbreak itself. Seems to sit right by the traffic light system, which can make pulling out a little bit more troublesome. Again, just another nice little added touch of realism. And going into the R&D tree, just before we get there, running through some of the elements of it, you know, it's a lot better this year. You know, if you get in, say, the McLaren, you know, you go through and you can see where your car sits in the sort of grand scheme of things on each section of the car. It's not just overall your car is here. You know, you could look and go, well, actually we've got, which the McLaren has, it's got a relatively decent chassis, but the engine, that Honda engine, is absolutely pony. So you can see that when you go in that, you know, really and truly, you don't necessarily need to be throwing major resource points at... Ooh, outbraking itself into the last corner. Nearly wiping Lewis out on the way back on to track. Yeah, so you can, you know, you can see and go, well, there's not a lot of point throwing mega bucks at the chassis, because the chassis is pretty good, but that Honda engine isn't. So it really does give it to you to take the car in the direction that you want it to go and where you feel you need the improvements. You know, with the Haas, I've actually found that the engine's pretty good, but the chassis isn't so great. You know, having that Ferrari engine in the Haas, and the same with the Renault. The engine should be good. You know, the Renault engine's not bad, but I think we're going to find that our chassis is pretty weak. So you know, we can develop that. You've also got, you know, you can make improvements to the quality control. You know, we're having components fail this year, where last year it was just pay your points, you get the upgrade and the car gets better. This year it's a bit more of a, again, a bit more of added realism, where not every time parts are going to work. And I'm also finding as well with the free practice sessions that the quali runs really seem to be a lot harder this year. I don't know why. The race pace one, not quite so bad, but qualifying, I've really struggled with the qualifying runs this year. And I think it's going to be, you know, with Renault, this is going to have to be a long-term thing. You know, I think this year, a bit of luck in the right races, we might be able to bag a decent result, but I think by and large it's going to be a hard slog this year. Hopefully we can get the car improved and start pushing our way back up next year. I mean, my sort of offline career mode I've done with hards. I mean, we managed to get second place in second race of the season due to a very well-timed safety car that really helped us out, and that's what we're going to need. I think with Renault, is going to be maybe a few safety cars at the right time, where we can just sort of maybe pip everyone to the pits and make a bit of a jump. I'm also finding, you know, that the retirement level from the AI seems to be a lot higher. The AI is very punchy, very aggressive. You know, there's a lot more close wheel-to-wheel battling and strategic battling, or at least it feels like it at times. I mean, I had a race last night where, you know, I was definitely holding the Force India up, and he just sort of sat back for a couple of laps, got some clean air behind me, saved a bit of fuel, and then just absolutely came at me at the end. He didn't beat me, but it does seem to be very much vastly improved to last year's. They've also got, as I'm sure everybody has seen, the classic cars are making a return this year with sort of an invitational system thing where you go out, which is quite quirky. I don't know what the longevity of that is before it's just kind of like, I just want to get on with my career mode. But it is certainly a nice little touch, and I'm sure a great way to try and improve your standings with the other teams. Which, like we had years ago, where you'd have that sort of little table that sort of show where you stood in standings with your other teams. That's made a return, so you can see, you know, maybe where your next contract offer might come from. Albeit that does seem to be a bit weird at times. You know, you have a phenomenal result and your standing can still go down with some teams, and you're thinking, well, I didn't have any contact with their drivers. Not entirely sure what I've done to annoy them, but so be it. But I think, you know, this year with all the additions to the free practice modes, it's certainly you're certainly needing more of the free practice session times to get everything in, and you know, I like to jump in at the lower teams. So you really need them extra points to make the upgrades. Okay, let's return to the garage to see how we're doing for session time. "10 minutes. So we'll have a quick look at the fuel saving as well. That's another new one that's come in this year. And this is something that I have struggled with terribly. But it's not something that, you know, last year I found that they seemed to just overfuel the cars nicely. This year I'm finding that the car is certainly fueled a lot lighter than last year. And you know, just trying a little bit of lift and coast around that corner or around turn 1 and just hemorrhaging time, as you can see, and hemorrhaging fuel. I'm trying to save fuel, and I've got 0.3 of a second to try and come up with. Oh. So yeah, as you can see, I can't save fuel for pudding. Yeah, we know, Jeffrey. The other cool thing that I had as well with the sort of components, looking after their lifespan, after killing my first gearbox, I actually lost second gear, so every time I went to shift down into second, it dropped to first. And vice versa, you know, as I went up from first, it would go first to third. And if we scroll through, so you can see, you know, we do have a running damage sort of wear count. So you really do need to sort of try and look after the car and think. But we're not going to be able to achieve that, so I'm going to return to the garage. We'll go back to the menu. I believe this point should open up the resource tree. So we'll retire from the session. But yeah, so I'm not gonna be showing oh, we're quicker than Hulkenberg, but only just, and on the faster tyre. I'm not going to be showing the free practice sessions. I probably will show the qualifying, the one-shot quali sessions once we get in. You know, if you want to see a full qualifying session, then, you know, just let us know in the comments section down below. But I don't mind doing it. But I don't think last year there was really any desperate need. I think people prefer to watch the racing. So here we go into the Renault motorhome.
You got my message. Welcome. away from home. We get more real-time data from the factory now than ever before, and it all comes through here. So I have to spend more time checking over the reports and less time hunting you down in the hospitality suite. To that end, sorry, just a sec. Yeah, Chris, is this important? I'm in the middle of something. Okay. Right. Well, that makes no sense.
Guy on the left's got a massive nose.
Sarah, reset the simulation and run it again. Okay. Sorry about that.
Does anyone know what that guy's name was? He was our mechanic or our R&D guy last year, and I can't even remember who he is.
From your laptop, so make sure to check the R&D screen regularly. And let us know how you want to use the data that we've collected over the weekend and through the practice programs. Also, bear in mind that the news from the factory won't always be good.
No, it won't.
Sometimes tests fail, like you've seen just now. And when that happens, we have to divert additional resources to fix it. C'est la vie, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I say, it certainly is a frustration or a frustrating thing when you when you put the money in to do some R&D and it fails. But you know, it is what it is. It's that added realism. So here we go. So we can see our overall development process, our vehicle sort of chassis, aerodynamics, and powertrain. So all in all, Renault, not a bad looking car to start with. So we'll bring up the R&D tree. So we've got the powertrain, and if we go in, we can see where our powertrain is. You know, actually not the greatest going. Not a McLaren Honda though, that's for definite, but a long way off from Mercedes. And you know, we can go through improving efficiency and quality control. Now, quality control is going to be improving the chances of the success or failure rate. We have what is this? Is durability. So it's the wear and tear on the components for the vehicle. We have our chassis. Where we can see again, our chassis is not that great either. So there's really and truly there's just a hell of a lot of work to do everywhere. Aerodynamics, although our aero package is pretty good, so this is something that we're not going to need to worry about too much. You can see obviously with my Haas career, that's something that we need to be chucking a fair bit of work on. I think our chassis is a good one. So I'm going to do quality control up one, and we'll try and improve this under tray. We need that to finish off first. And durability is certainly a key thing. What's the gearbox? Unavailable, unavailable. I think we all need that one to finish first. I want to do a little bit of work on the powertrain as well, so I think that's where we'll sit for now. And then obviously, yeah, as they come up, you'll start to see the R&D circles fill up, and hopefully that Renault moves slowly up towards the top. What I think really this year it's looking at getting into that sort of Williams' position overall. You know, if we can be in a regular points finishing position, I think the Renault is one of them vehicles that's right on the cusp. You know, it's knocking on the door of getting into regular points. We just need to now make it go from that kind of is to definitely is a solid, strong points finisher. You know, pick up a few decent results if the likes of sort of Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, Williams have a few issues. Force India, I think it's going to be a very, very tight battle all season long. So constructors wise, it's going to be somewhere around 4th to 6th, I think. Looking at it, you know, we want to be taking that fight to the Williams, to the Force Indias. from a driver's standing, probably somewhere midpoint, somewhere about 10th would be, I think, a safe bet or a safe aim. Obviously, if we can go better on that, then we will do. We're just going to have to see how it goes. And again, it does look to be a 10-season career, so we've got plenty of time in the bag to take this Renault right the way up the field and go from there. So I'm going to head into FP2. And then I'll see you later on this afternoon for the race. As ever, guys, any tweaks and changes you want in the career mode as the season progresses, longer races, or you want to see the full qualifying, or anything like that, you know, just drop that in the comments down below. Let us know, and we'll make the adjustments as required. And as ever, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please smash that like, smash that subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at 1sgaming, at 1sgaming extra, on Facebook at 1sgaming official, and online at www.1sgaming.co.uk. Cheers, guys. Catch you later. Bye-bye.